Can you imagine spending 10 years planning for one specific month of your life? The month your kids graduate, the month you turn 50, the month you turn that book in that you fought to write. Everything that you've been working toward for a decade is finally here. Then, within 30 days, grief, heartbreak, and loss show up in ways you never saw coming. Welcome to the WTF Podcast, friends. My name is Molly Smith, and I'm on a mission to equip 1 million people with the tools to recognize when they're in the funk, but more importantly, how to pivot out of it. By tuning in today, you've joined me on this mission, and I am so grateful that you are here. Many years ago, I was listening to the Ed Milet podcast when I first heard Sarah's story. I remember listening to it and being completely captivated. Like many people who discover Sarah for the first time, I immediately dove into her work. I bought her books. I've had the privilege of being coached by her. And over the years, I've been incredibly honored to call her a friend. Sarah Centrella has rebuilt her life from the ground up after her marriage fell apart, raising her son and twin daughters on her own while trying to figure out how to create an entirely new life. And what she has built from there is nothing short than remarkable. Today, she's a globally recognized speaker, a mindset expert, executive coach, and 4-time best-selling author who helps people develop the clarity, resilience, and vision needed to create extraordinary lives. In her newest book, Think It, she shares mental fitness tools to help people navigate life's toughest moments. And today, we're going to talk about some of those moments. Sarah recently walked through a season of the funk that tested everything she thought she knew about resilience. Buckle up, friends. This one is going to inspire the pants off you. Please join me in welcoming Sarah Centrella to the WTF Podcast.
Damn, girl, that is a seriously amazing intro. Thank you so much for that. Gosh,
So much love for you, friend.
Love you.
Yes.
You're amazing.
I am so glad that you are here because I want to tell this story. And I remember this is just last year, the story
Yes.
that we're going to tell.
Yep.
And I remember seeing some of it play out on
Mhm.
social media and just, it's heart-wrenching. So
Yeah.
before we get into June of 2025, I want you to take us back to earlier in 2025, the season leading up to this month that you had been planning. So tell us about early 2025 for you.
Yeah, so it started off, I was determined, oh, this is going to be a good year because the previous two were pretty rocky. They were pretty rough. And so I had met my person who I totally felt like manifested this amazing relationship. It was the first relationship since my divorce, which was 17 years before. I had kind of intentionally chosen to raise my kids as a single mom after the divorce. And so was very intentional when it came to dating, manifested this man, literally like the 6 pages I wrote, this man was. And so we were about a year into our relationship at the start of the year. So I'm like, oh my God, so many good things are going to be happening. He really encouraged me, honestly, to get back to writing. I had written 3 books at that time, but so much has changed. Blogging has changed. Just all the algorithms have changed on social. And I was really struggling to figure out like what's next for my business. Like, do I continue to write books? Are they making the impact that I want them to make? Is there an audience still out there in the world? Truly like questioning kind of everything. And he was very encouraging. He's like, this is what you do. Like, do what you love doing. And so that started off the year. I started writing chapters of Think It. And he found Substack for me, and I've gone on Substack and I was like, oh my God, there's people who read still. This is amazing. And I was dropping chapter by chapter, and then just was like, okay, I'm gonna get a book deal for this. And I've had 3 other book deals, but anyone in publishing knows that it's pretty much like winning the lottery. It's one of the hardest things you could possibly do. It's harder than breaking into the music industry or acting or any other field. And my agent will tell me that every single time. Bring her an idea, right? But I was like, nope, this is it. This one's gonna, really like move the mark. And a miracle happened, and we got an amazing book deal. And so I'm like, oh my God, everything is going so fantastic. And then I had some really big things, like you said in the intro, that I had been looking forward to forever. I'm a big writer of my own life story. So I had written life plans that were calling into existence what I wanted. So this particular year I knew forever was going to be a big one, right? Because it was
Yep.
the year I turned 50, like you said, the year my daughters turned 18 and graduated high school, and the year my son would graduate college. So, and that was all happening in about a week and a half time period. So I've known for a long time it was going to be epic and, like all these big ways or whatever. But yeah, I did not see what was coming.
Graduation happens, you turn 50, you turn and think it. What happens next?
So it actually all started with turning in Think It, my deadline. So I got the book deal at the beginning of May, and they're like, "Well, this is super crazy. The last deadline we have for publishing for the next year is June 1st. Like, probably no chance you can." I was like, "I'll take it. Like, I will figure it out. I will write this book in 6 weeks or whatever it was, 5 weeks or something." And I did. So I turned it in on June 1st. I was like, "Oh, okay, great." June 6th, my daughters turn 18. We have their party. The next day is their high school graduation. We have that party with family. And so everything's just like kicking off and starting. And then my son was graduating from the University of Oregon. So all the family goes down there and we go to his graduation. And of course, that was really special. I didn't graduate college as a single mom to be able to have, your first child graduate college. It was just super meaningful across the board. And a lot to all of us. And my brother, Jeremiah, was there. My sister Emily was there as well, and her kids. And so we were, all together, and all of them had been at my daughter's birthday celebration as well, a couple of days before that. And then that was all happening on Saturday. And Wednesday was my 50th birthday party. And this is the first time I've ever had a birthday party. I didn't grow up having them. I was never a big celebrator of them as a single mom. No one could, you know what I mean? Like, it's not a big deal, right? But it was a 50th. And so I was like, okay. So I planned like a birthday dinner, and my brother's an amazing chef. And so I conned him in. I was like, please, will you do, you're so good at this. It's what he did for a living. And so he was cooking the birthday dinner, and we were like going over it at graduation and whatnot. And it was to be on Wednesday. And I woke up on Wednesday morning and ran all the errands for my party and did my makeup and was literally in the middle of curling my hair. I had half my head done. And my sister called, and I'm like, oh, she's probably just wanting to know what to wear, or, what to bring or whatever. So I'm like, hey, what's up? And she's like, Jeremiah's dead. And I was like, no, he's not. I just texted him that address in the fucking place and asked if I need to bring food. Just, what the fuck are you talking about? And she's like, he's down at the coroner's office. And I was like, what the fuck? And he had literally dropped out of a heart attack at the sink cooking my birthday dinner.
Was he sick or ill or have any
Nothing.
indication that there was heart disease or anything?
Nope. My dad and my grandfather both had heart attacks. So like we knew it could be, hereditary, but he was perfectly healthy, super outdoorsman, organic food. Like that was literally his business. And so never crossed anyone's mind, wasn't complaining of, didn't have any of the normal symptoms that you would have, like literally nothing. And I just remember the amount of like shock, I don't think, I've definitely had loss in my life for sure. The shock whiplash of that day and that week I've never experienced anything like it in my entire life, because like I was up here, right? Like getting ready for my 50th birthday party. It was, my man was going to meet a bunch of family and friends he hadn't met before. And then not only that, but that night we were leaving to go to Mexico for our first big trip together. And it was his best friend's wedding. So we were leaving that night for our very first like big couple
getaway
thing with like his whole family and friends. And so like all this like highs of a lifetime were happening in this 3-4 day period. And then to like have this immediate whiplash into like, yo, no, this is a real, I couldn't even get my head around a reality of it. I was literally like, so do you mean he's at the hospital? And so like, is he not going to be able to make it to the party? Do I need to get like should I order some dinner? Like I could not process any of it. Right? I was just like fucking so in shock. And I was the one who had to like call my parents and tell them. And my sister was like, oh, why don't you pick up the birthday cake on the way over to the house? It's just there. Like literally it's still in like the fucking sweats out of the shower, half my hair curled, half of it crazy, blow dried out, picking up my fucking birthday cake. And the chick's like, "Are you having your party right now?" I'm like, "No, my brother just died an hour ago. So, like, don't really know what." So, yeah. And it didn't get any easier after that.
Yeah. So you literally, the day your brother dies, you hop on a plane to go to Mexico.
So that was the big thing. I remember, like, we're in the middle of grief. My sister and I are talking and whatever. Then all of a sudden I was like, oh, fuck. Like, I'm supposed to be on a flight, like, in a couple hours. I was like, I'm going to cancel that, obviously, and she was like, don't cancel it. We're not doing anything. They immediately decided, like, we can't get our head around anything. Like, we'll deal with all the arrangements later. She's like, you should go. My brother knew, we had just talked about it like 2 days before. And anyone who knows me knows that, like, being in a relationship this was a first for me. These were all big, huge firsts for me. And they were like, and my son was like, go, like, and not knowing really what was up and what was down, to be honest, I went, and it was again, just the most insane thing, because, like, I didn't want to tell anyone, because you don't want to take away from the bride, right? Like, and these are all people you've never
Yes.
met in your life before, and they're all your man's, like, everybody.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to bring anybody down or anything, but so you're trying as hard as you can to be like, and hey, cheers, let's take a shot. Let's dance. And, like, the whole time my brain's going, your brother's dead, you asshole. Like, and I was like, it was the most alternate fucking, I've never in my life had to hold space for such opposing emotions at the same time. I didn't even know it was possible, truly. Like,
Yeah. I mean, you've talked about that just holding happy, joyful, and
some
like
of the highest moments in
heart-wrenching
life. Yeah.
Yes.
At the exact same time, and trying to not completely, like, disintegrate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did it feel like day to day while you were in Mexico and after you came home?
I think Mexico was really, really hard. It would probably made everything so much harder for me, because I was trying to be, like, in this moment of total celebration. And also, again, first time any of them are meeting me. So you have to put your best face forward, and like, and there's that pressure that's always there the first time, you meet your partner's people. And so I think the pressure from that was so much. So I would just, like, step away and be like, I'm going to go for a quick walk on the beach. I'll be back in an hour. Or to just fall apart, like, walking to the beach, and just be like, oh my God, just go put the face back on. Like, go back out and be like, everything's great. So looking back, I know that everything always does happen for a reason. And, in ways that probably was rescuing me a little bit from just being totally destroyed instantaneously. Like, and I was kind of able to, like, step in and out of it as a reality, not be,
Yeah.
I'm just completely drenched in it. But the other thing that was really hard about that is, because of that, I missed everyone back home who was coming together and grieving together. I never had a time where I grieved with anyone else, which is
Oh.
really crazy. It was that part was really horrible. And then the funeral was like 2 months later. They wanted it at the end of summer so everyone could come. And because of that, I went through this 2-month crazy limbo where it felt like I was mourning totally alone. And I think, just as a coach, right, every experience you go through helps you then understand so much more about people and about what other people go through. And because I've never gone through anything remotely like that, like, now I understand why in grief you need a community. In grief you need your
Yeah.
people. Grief,
Yeah.
you can't be alone. I
Yeah.
didn't know any of that before. I hadn't experienced it.
Yeah.
It was really intense.
Okay. Well, that's the end of the
No,
freezing season.
no. So then, a week before my brother's funeral, this beautiful relationship, it's about a year and a half into it, healthy, beautiful, all the things. There was one kind of issue that we had. He was 10 years 5 years younger than me, but 10 years different life-wise. Like, if kids were young, they have 10 years before they
Life stage
get to where I'm
with
at.
kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we always knew that could pose a little bit of a problem, because that's a pretty big thing. I finally got to the other side of that, where I can go travel the world or do whatever I want. He's still in the, like, oh my God, we need lunches and get out the door to make school on time. And we had this great weekend in Vancouver, and we came home, and he was like, I don't know how. He just could not logistically make it all work, and I got that. I understood that we really were very different times. I mean, I have tons of time on my hands now in a way that I just never had when I was a single
Yeah.
mom raising 3 kids, and he's in the
Yeah.
opposite. And so we ended our relationship a week before the funeral, and 2 weeks before I left for a solo trip to Europe by myself for 2 months, which I had planned to have, him be a support system in my life. I was still going alone on the trip, but we talked every day. And so when I had planned the trip, I didn't really think of it necessarily as going alone because like we talk every day and I'll have someone that I'm still like sharing the experience with, if you will. Did not anticipate that the trip would have that much grief. So
Yes.
having, again, holding space for two very different things, grieving both of those at the same time and having it be very intertwined and very confusing. And yeah, it was a lot. I'm honestly so glad I went on the trip because there was a lot of healing that also took place for sure.
Yeah. So you had the grief of the sudden loss of your brother and then the loss of
This relationship that had felt
this
so beautiful
relationship.
and so manifested and so aligned for the last year and a
Yes.
half.
Yes.
And
And
the
it,
person who was like my person every single day for a year and a half,
yeah,
and
that consistent presence, right?
yeah.
And I don't know if everybody caught this, but Sarah did not date for
For 17
years.
years. Yeah, for
17
like
years,
16 years.
guys. She focused on building her business, raising her kids. And so this is the first significant relationship.
Yep. It was the first man that ever met my kids, ever. They never seen me stand next to a man. Well, like have a man in their house or at their table for dinner,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
so there was so many, there was so much change happening in that year and a half. So much. It felt like, and so much of it was good, right? A lot
Yeah.
of that was good, but it was first, so many firsts across the board and just growth, constant growth and change.
Yeah.
And I definitely 2025 worked me. I mean, there was a moment, maybe the day before my brother's funeral where I just was like, I've been through a lot of really hard things. And because you know me well, right? Like this story I'm describing is just one of many, right? So I've been through a lot of really hard things in my life. And I was like, there was a first time ever in my whole life where I had this moment in my head where I was like, is this the thing that breaks me? Like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna be broken,
Yeah.
where I've always trusted myself enough to know that like I am strong. I can figure stuff out. I can pick up the pieces. I can whatever. And this one was like, man, I'm just tired.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I sit this one out. And I'd never had those thoughts ever where I was just
Yeah.
like, maybe it's too much,
Yeah. What thoughts kept looping in your mind during that season? Like getting ready for this amazing trip. So you guys, she went 2 months solo trip through Europe. Now, can you
Yeah.
imagine doing that? Like that sounds amazing.
It was.
Amazing.
But it rescued me.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah.
And again, I followed you all over
Mhm.
Europe and just like I can see the social media image of you in a coffee shop, like overlooking a
Yeah.
beach. Like I remember, like
Yeah.
I was not
Yeah.
there, but I was
I was bringing
in
everyone virtually
spirit.
with me.
Yes, absolutely. But like, tell me what thoughts kept looping in your mind in that during that trip as you were trying to navigate this season?
I think I was still in shock of both losses in so many ways because both were so sudden. Like I said, we had just come back from his birthday weekend in Vancouver, BC. We had this amazing time in Vancouver, BC, and the breakup was like the next day, and so you're just like,
Oh,
wait, what? So like the whiplash of everything was I just had the hardest time kind of getting my head around like this is actually real life, and this isn't just some weird dream that you're going to kind of wake up from. So then what do you do? Like how do you adjust? How do you decide who you're going to be moving forward? And I think I'd planned the trip in at the end of May. So like I said, when we were still together, but I knew I was going to go alone.
yeah.
But I also always knew, because this is a trip I've wanted to do since I was 18, and instinctively, like in every bone of my body, I knew that a trip like this was going to be my personal transformation. Like I didn't know what I was going to try and solve or to try and find but and you've read The Alchemist too, I think, right?
Yeah.
So like for me, that's what it was. It was like, this is my journey to my personal legend. I don't know
Yeah.
what that fuck means, but I'm here to find out. And I'm here to be open to like whatever the day is supposed to teach me. And I love travel because travel tangibly teaches you life lessons in
Yes.
in real life metaphors. So like if you're open to it and you see that, it's in every interaction all day long. Like the metaphor is real life and the real life is metaphor. And it's just like this crazy thing. And so I went very much in that wide open space. I'm like, okay, you've stripped everything. Like I'm bare. Like
Yeah.
I am open. I am bare. There's no ego anymore. There's no nothing, whatever I'm supposed to learn in this, teach me, show me. And there were so many of those moments that I had that were crazy. I mean, I planned things I knew the Sarah I've always been would never have done. I mean, I planned zip lining at the beginning of the trip, and I'm terrified of heights and have been my whole life. Like I get vertigo. I can't stand with heights, like I literally, like my legs will like lock out. I did this course. Thank God I didn't look it up really before. I was just like, oh, I'm going to book it. It wound up being the third hardest course in the world. And
Wow.
I blacked out for a lot of it, I'm pretty sure. Like, I don't know for what got me. But I did it. And
But you did it.
crazy because it honestly, like, I have not had a fear of heights since. Like, so there were so many of those, like, transformative things where I was like, fuck it. You live once. Like,
Do it.
I'm going to fucking do everything. And my brother was he lived his life very much that way. He lived his life very much, we get one life. I'm here for the full blown ride at all times. And, but like in his honor, I'm going to channel some of that and did. And it definitely changed me for sure.
Did you sense him with you on that trip?
Oh yeah. That day, especially, I very much like he was, makes me choke up, but he was what got me on that fucking zip line. The very first one. And I also had no idea that they start you off with like at the top, the hardest and worst one first. I thought we were going to do these little ones, and then like, oh no, we started 1,000 feet. The first one was the length of 3 football fields. And it was 1,000 feet over a canyon, over a river canyon.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, I think my eyes were closed the whole time. I don't really know. But
Yeah.
so, I was like, that was him. Like he was fully there. And then it was crazy on the bus ride back to my Airbnb. He was a very water guy. Like water was his thing. He was an avid whitewater rafter his whole entire life, and water was his thing. And over the sea, the sun came down in this just literal like spotlight, and it was over my town. So I could see it as we're going along the coastal line. My town was like way up there. So for about 20 minutes, I could see this whole ringed spotlight just over the tip of my town where my spot was. And I was like, I know who you are. I see you.
Yes.
So I had to go get that. I'll show it to you. I had to go get my first ever tattoo. It says "Float Easy."
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Okay, girl, you've spent years teaching the tools to help people. Okay, which tools did you pull out of your tool belt during this season?
All of them. Every fucking one. Are you kidding? Everyone. And I've often said, like, if I didn't have the tools, I don't know where I would be because of those moments that I had, those thoughts of like, I don't mean like give up on life or anything, but I really was like, I don't want to get up. So, like I want to stay in bed for 3 weeks and see what happens. Like I've never been that person, and so having my tools is what saved me. Is they came back and were like, hey, that's not who you are. They reminded me who I was. And because what I teach teaches you how to change a thought into its opposite, right? And so when those thoughts will come in, like maybe you're done, maybe you're broken, maybe you can't do this anymore, maybe you don't have anything left to give. They were already there. They were like, that's crazy. You can have a bad day, no problem, but that's insane. Here's what's true. Here's what you believe. And just they buoyed me, when I needed them. And I always tell people, like, if you do this work and you are consistent at it, they come to the rescue for you automatically, just like negative thoughts come to pull you down automatically.
Yeah.
Positive ones can do the exact same thing. And so they were literally to get on that zip line, I was using every I am statement up there. I was like, I love heights. I love to fly. I'm soaring. And all day long, I was like, today I fly. Today I fly. And I want to go get that tattooed. I was like, today I fly. So that was that whole day. I was like, that's what I had in my head. I was like, I'm using the tools to reframe, to give me energy, to give me what I need in this moment. And every day they did. And I also learned so much about trusting my gut, which I'm a big believer in too. And so traveling puts
Yes.
you in lots of circumstances where you have to trust your gut. You have to listen to it.
Yeah.
And it definitely did for me when I thought I was being kidnapped in Morocco, you know?
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay. So some mental tennis. I would
Yeah,
imagine
mental tennis for sure.
your game of mental tennis just happens automatically, right?
At this point, for the most part. So, can I explain mental tennis for everybody really
Please.
quick?
It's
Okay.
my
So
favorite.
this is the very first tool that I ever came up with on how to change your thoughts. Because back when I started this whole journey, no one, no one is still honestly have yet to find someone who teaches you how to do this stuff. They just teach you that you should, right?
Right.
But no one was telling me like how to change my mindset or how to train my thinking so that I wasn't constantly manifesting negative outcomes. And so I just started like playing around with different, very, very simple concepts to see if they would work. And mental tennis is the easiest thing in the whole planet. I'm going to describe it for everyone listening. So if you just imagine that you're out on a tennis court and you're practicing, let's say, your return serve, and there's one of those electric ball spitters and it's sending a ball out every 3 seconds or something. No one in their right mind stands in front of that and just is like, here, please bruise me from head to toe. Like
Right.
you're going to do your best effort and you're going to try and return the serve. You're going to run around and try and return the serve. So if you think of your brain as a tennis court and all day long, your thoughts are coming at you the same exact way those balls are, what are you trying to do? You're just trying to return it, try to get it back over. And so all you have to remember is what is the opposite, the reverse of this thought. So if the
Right.
thought is, I can't do this, I'm done. The reverse of this, I can do this, I got it. Right. And so it takes all thinking out of it. All you have to do is literally ask ChatGPT, what is the opposite of this word if you don't know it? That's it.
Right.
And if you do that, two magical things start happening. Number one, the spiral stops, right? Because I put an end to it. I'm like, no, I'm not that thing. I'm this thing instead. I'm not that thing. I'm this thing instead. So that alone is enough. Like that alone will reduce your stress, your anxiety. It will
Yeah.
prevent negative spirals. You feel powerful as fuck because you're like, oh my God, I'm able to control something I could never control before. Great. The best part is it starts working in the background to create the
Yes.
new thing you just put out there. And that is its genius because that new thing you just put out there, I'm able, that was not an automatic thought. That would not have automatically been in the universe as an option ever.
Right.
So now, for the first time, brand new GPS coordinates are put into your life plan that can create an outcome you haven't had before. And that is incredible. Once you understand it's that simple, not this, that, not this, that, not this, that. You just play that little game,
Yep.
game. It does so much. It powers you so much. And it does get to the point where it becomes kind of automatic. Like it was for me, I'm now at the point where like I fully understand it's the choice. So I could say, fuck you, I want to feel like shit and I'm going to feel like shit and fuck you. Or I could say, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Sorry, I love that. Or I could say, I see the choice and okay. Because they come in, the more they practice it, they come in as two very clear options. What are you going to do? Stay stuck
That's right.
here and you know how that turns out? Or are you going to do what you know you need to do and get back up?
That's right.
And so you can use it for anything.
Yeah. I've used it. I've shared mental tennis with loads of people. And I'll tell you, we can tend to be victims of like our conditioning and how we were raised, and like no shade on parenting or anything like that. I truly believe that people do the best they can with what they know and what they've got at the time.
Yeah.
But fighting that conditioning, and it does take a level of awareness. Now, I'll tell you, when Sarah first taught me this, I had to set a timer on
Mhm.
my phone, like
Yep.
just every couple of hours, to try to build the awareness of
That's
the
it.
negative thoughts,
Yeah.
right?
I was
Because
telling, yeah. Because otherwise you have no idea how to even get the awareness. Honestly,
Correct.
they're like,
Correct.
what do I even, because the average person has between 60 to 90,000 thoughts a day, or roughly around 60 to 70% of those are just repetitive, but they're
Exactly.
mostly subconscious. They're running. We have 10 different thought layers. We have like, what's on the to-do list? Who do I need to pick up? Whatever.
Yes, absolutely.
But there's all these other ones running in all these other layers, and they are all guiding your future. They're literally creating what's happening next week, next month, next year. And so most of us don't know how to be like, what is it in the first place? And so I always have clients set your watch. If you have a smartwatch, they're the best because they can buzz your hand to breathe. You put on the breathe, put on the breathe setting and set it a couple times a day. And all you do is when it buzzes, immediately ask yourself, what have I been thinking the last 10 minutes? That's it. And then
That's right.
do a little voice memo to yourself to say, I thought of these 15 things last 10 minutes, last hour. That is what I call taking inventory. So you start there and you just start by like, hey, take an inventory. And then get out a notepad, listen to a couple of those voice memos, get out a notepad, say, hey, these are the top 20 things I'm noticing that those are the things that are recycling. Usually several of them are probably mundane, the
Right.
to-do list stuff, but a lot of them are probably some fear-based stuff, some things that are causing anxiety. Definitely most people have some lack stuff in there somewhere. So that's what you want to identify. Like, what is this? Because this is all in creation mode, whether I believe it, like it, doesn't matter.
It's happening.
It is what it is. So if I know that, why wouldn't I want to hack that system? That's why
Absolutely.
I want to fucking hack it. If it's already running, can I please put a program in there?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
that's all this is when you're doing mental tennis, you're putting a program in that didn't exist before.
That's exactly.
And so of course you're going to get a new outcome. It's logical, right? Like if I'm doing something I've never done before, of course I'm going to get a new outcome. So there's so much power in it. But for me on a tactical level, like it is what saved me last year, but it's also like what I live every day. And it's the thing that gets me up every day to continue to do what I'm doing or to move towards my next goal or to not get discouraged when I get no's, which I get constantly like everybody else does, you know?
Sure.
So it's the practical, literally how I operate. And I'm so grateful. I don't know where I'd be without those tools, you know?
I love it. What did this season reveal to you about yourself?
So much, so much. I think one of the things that I've been working on for the last couple of years that I knew I was in a time of transition, like a time of pre-up leveling, if you will. Like,
Sure.
I don't know if you've ever felt that where you're like, I know something big is around the corner and I feel like I'm prepping for it. I kind of know what I want it to be, but I almost like sense it in my body. And I knew there was things holding me back from that, but I'd done all my conscious work. And I'd even done a ton of subconscious healing, really working hard at it. And that's what what I was allowing the trip to do was to break everything away, let go of any resistance that I had, because I knew I was still carrying some. And if anyone's ever tried to get into a state of flow, quote unquote, it's a lot harder than it sounds. Right? And that was another reason why I got this tattoo, because it was so interesting that the year before my word of the year was float. And this year it was easy. And I was like, oh my God, it is my metaphor of for me, I need to float easy, but it was also for him too, right? So in that trip, I knew like every day I was trying to show up and float, just be. And I think it was a lesson that I've been trying to access in all the ways that I knew how, that the trip finally did for me.
Yeah.
The trip allowed it. And there were so many ways that I just gave in and allowed and floated, and it released it for good. It's kind of hard to explain, but it felt so good because it was so much that I knew. It almost felt like a generational curse that I've been holding and caring for others that wasn't fucking my shit. I just knew it. Like I was carrying too much that wasn't mine. And on that trip, I was like, I want it all gone. I don't want to carry that anymore. I don't want to carry anything anymore that doesn't serve me. I want to leave all the versions of me behind. It was almost like a shedding. I want to leave that all behind. And here's who I want to be in the next phase of my life. And I actually, at the end of the year, wrote all of that out. I said goodbye to all these versions of myself. Goodbye to the hustle version who got me here. Goodbye to, the girl who could make something out of nothing. All these things that have served me well, but won't serve me in the next version. They were all part of my identity. They were part of things I was actually quite proud of. And I was like, but it's time to time.
It served you well, but it's time to
You
move on.
and this is the version that I want to be. And then I just made a very conscious choice at the start of the year that I was going to show up every day as that new version. And I picked very tactical things to represent that. Things like I'll do my makeup every day. I will put on a cute outfit every day, even if I don't leave the house, because I work from home. And so there's many days where I won't leave the house, but I'm like, I'm doing all those things that is that new version of me,
That's
that
right.
new personality. I'm bringing, she is now. She's not waiting in the wings. She's now.
I love that. Okay. How are you different today than you were a year ago?
Gosh, in so many ways. I've never experienced pain, heartbreak, and loss ever in my whole life in the way that I did over the last year. That I think changes you no matter what, in some ways that are positive, right? Because it teaches you life is very short.
Yes.
Like there was the way my brother died on the day that he died, just to say it's unexpected and life is short is such a cliche, right? But, he had 2 little daughters and a wife, and you just think, fuck it, I'm living my life to the fullest every day. I am not letting fear hold me back. I am not letting any of these things hold me back anymore.
Yeah.
I'm acting on ideas. I am acting on inspiration. I'm doing the thing. We get one shot. Like, I'm
That's
not going
right.
to have any regrets at the end of this.
That's exactly right. Okay. If somebody who's listening is in their version of the funk, what is the
Yeah.
first step that you would encourage them to take?
Ooh. There's a couple things that I do to get out of a funk no matter what. Like how this one was obviously pretty dramatic,
Sure.
but we all go through them, right? And I would say that the 2 years prior were a long funk. Like there was a lot going on that I had to work at daily to make sure I was not getting pulled down by that energy, because that energy was very heavy over the last 3 years. So I'll give you the 3 things that I always do that are they work really well for me. They work for my clients as well. So the very first thing I do when I notice that I'm feeling that way, like feeling off, feeling irritable, feeling whatever, just not feeling like myself, the first thing I'll do is I'll go on YouTube. I'll literally lay down and I will go on YouTube and I will listen to a chakra cleansing Reiki Rachel. She's my favorite. All her stuff is free on YouTube. She's amazing.
Love it.
And that's the first thing, because I need something outside of me to help me. And that's how I look at Reiki healing, is like that's coming from the inside out. It is, all I have to do is take a nap for 30 minutes while it does its thing. And then I feel like the conscious work that I'm doing next is a lot more impactful, right? It's not citing the energy that's stored in my body that's trying to cite them, right? That's trying to like keep it back. So that's number one. That always feels better. Like you definitely wake up from that and you feel better from that. And then the next thing that I do is I take inventory really quickly of my thoughts. So what have I been thinking the last however long this started? So if I started feeling bad yesterday, what have I been thinking about the last 24 hours? So I have to quickly identify, and it's usually 2 or 3 things. So write that down so you can really see it. And then ask yourself, well, what do I want instead? I don't want any of that to happen. I already know that, because all that's worst case scenario shit usually, right? So what do I want instead? And in that moment of funk, you don't feel like you want to embrace anything positive, right? It almost feels good to be in your, it's like, no, I just want to eat a pint of ice cream and feel sorry for myself or whatever. Like we've all had those days.
Sure.
But that is when I doubled down on the what I want instead. So I will literally focus solely on that. And I will say, this is coming, and I'll take out a pen and paper and I'll write down like, today might be tough. Today is difficult but this is on its way. This is coming. This is what's about to happen. And so I'll rewrite that whole narrative and I'll be like, this is what I'm working towards. This is why this matters. This is why I'm excited for it. This is why I'm grateful for it because it's almost here. So I will rewrite everything. And it's rewriting all the things that are stressing me into the new and better version of what I want, right? And that alone gives you a lot of power. And it helps you see the bigger picture. It gets you immediately out of because the funk is me just stewing over and over and over. And
Absolutely. Absolutely.
so this is like a forced, whoa, girl, look up. Look at the horizon again. Let's get that bigger picture. Let's rescope a little bit. That alone feels a lot better, right? Because you're out of the tunnel and you're able to see like, hey, today might suck, but this is not going to suck moving forward. Good things are on the horizon. And then I actively put those into I am statements or mottos, and I say them as often as I possibly can. I'll do them on a voice recorder. I'll play it all day long. I'll go for a walk. I'll play it. So basically what you're trying to do is reprogram as quickly as you can from a mindset perspective, right? Because it's the mindset that got you in the funk in the first place, and that's just keeping you in it. So if I can actually change that actively, not just saying, wouldn't that be nice, but I'm actively changing that, then I am going to immediately feel incrementally better. So the rest of that day is going to go a little better than the first part. Tomorrow, as long as I do that work again, say those I am, say those mottos, train that story in my head, it's going to go a little better and I'm going to get myself out of it. But when it all comes down to it, remember, it's thoughts that got you in there. It's thoughts that keeps you in there. And it's your choice if you choose thoughts to get you out.
That's right.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Mic drop. Amazing.
Choose the thoughts that get you out.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. Sarah,
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing your story. Oh, I'm so
Yes,
grateful for
course.
you. Friends, if you have been moved by this episode, not sure how you couldn't be moved by this episode and these amazing tools that Sarah has shared, first, go out and buy her book, Think It. Go out and buy
Yes,
that, please. It is such
you will be glad you did.
100%. And this is one where you don't want to buy the audio or the Kindle. You want a highlighter and a pen. This is that kind of book. So go out and buy that book, but also share this episode for somebody who you know is in the funk or who's truly like life is lifing for them and they've just had body blow after body blow happen to them. This episode will absolutely encourage them. And it's going to help me reach 1 million people, guys. That's a big fucking mission. And I literally have no idea how it's going to happen, but you cannot convince me that it's not going to happen.
Girl, but we can manifest anything. We are
absolutely manifest that, right?
Yeah. And leave reviews, guys. Leave reviews of this podcast because that is how that happens, right? Like reviews on books and podcasts are two of the ways that a listener or an absorber of content can give back to a creator, and it matters a lot.
It does. And it's FREE.
Thank you.
Yeah, right. Come on. I love it. I love it. You guys, thank you so much. And share the episode and let me know how this has impacted you or if you shared it. We'll see you next time.
Okay. Thank you so much.